Hello there my fellow gamers, we are kicking things off for 2024, not with the highest end RTX 4090 laptop with all the bells and whistles that will cost you an arm, a leg and maybe one of your spare kidneys, but rather with something that most of you will actually be willing to buy. This is the new Lenovo Legion 5i and it is the successor to last year's Slim 5 series. And despite the mid-range price, a relatively sleek chassis and the omittance of any game restyling and RGB everywhere, the 5 got it where it counts. Pure performance to kick your FPS numbers to 11. But not everything is sunshine and rainbows, and this puppy comes with a few caveats. But in the grand scheme of things, well, Lenovo is up to a very good start in 2024. We already teased this review in our deep dive for Intel's new Raptor Lake refresh CPUs, since the Legion 5 is actually the first notebook to arrive with the i7-14650HX, which is the update for last year's i7-13700HX. On the GPU side of things, the RTX 4060 is rendering your frames on the QHD Plus 240Hz panel with up to 115 watts. And a not quite up-to-date 16 gigs of RAM and a 1TB SSD complement the solid if not particularly special hardware arrangement. If you are looking for a flashy gaming notebook, well, the Legion 5i will not be for you. Quite the contrary, the subtle chassis is, well, borderline boring, but in a nice unobtrusive way. And while only the display lid is aluminium, it is still a very well-made laptop, despite the plastic body. Rigidity is mostly excellent, but due to the chosen materials there's a little bit more flex in the keyboard area. If you do not force it though, it is not a problem during everyday use. And overall the Legion feels reassuringly solid no matter what you do with it. One of the biggest changes compared to last year's model is the rearranged I/O, and while the general selection is still amazing, placement is a bit of a different story. While the 2023 model had most of its connectors in the back, Lenovo decided to scatter everything all over the place, which might make for a very cluttered setup if you take advantage of everything that is on offer. On the left you get a single USB-A 3.2 Gen 1 and two USB-C 3.2 Gen 2s with the one towards the front supporting power delivery. On the right side you can find a Gigabit Ethernet jack, which is a very welcome sight especially in this price range, a pair of USB-A 3.2 Gen 1s and a micro SD card reader, which nobody freaking asked for. Seriously, let me know who actually uses these, especially if they are as terribly slow as this one. In the back it's mostly all vents apart from the power connector and an HDMI 2.1. Again, it is a very generous selection, and while I think it is okay that they've opted for the slower USB-A variant to keep the price down, especially the pair on the right will give you headaches when you have an external mouse connected, which you probably will since this is, after all, a gaming notebook. Wireless transfers are within the expected margins for a modern notebook, and the webcam might not offer anything special to write home about, but it does its job without wanting you to quit every Zoom call immediately. Below the button panel you can get relatively easy access to a pair of SODIMMs and NVMe slots. And both the Wi-Fi module and battery are swappable should the need arise at some point in the future. I am a bit partial to Lenovo's keyboards in general, and the Legion 5i is no exception. With a generous 1.5mm of travel, satisfying tactility and a pronounced pressure point, it is well suited for both games and work. Our unit came with only a white backlight, but you can spec it with a 4-zone RGB variant as well. As is typical for Legion, the touchpad is alright, even though the clicks feel a little meh. There's nothing meh about the screen though, and while the Legion offers nothing new here for 2024, the snappy 240Hz panel is still very well suited for a mid-range gaming machine. Brightness is above average, even though it does result in some subtle halos when cranked. Contrast is pretty alright for an IPS, and while there are displays with wider color gamuts giving the focus of the Legion, it's hardly something to complain about with this one. But let's talk about performance. As per usual, Lenovo offers 3 main performance modes in their Vantage application. And to give you an idea of what to expect from each and every one of them, we did some initial general testing to see about the differences. As you can see, Lenovo did a fine job with tuning here. If you want to get everything the core components are capable of, performance is your friend with the fan noise that suits power levels. And if you can sacrifice some frames in return for quieter operation, quiet mode works as well, with balance being, well, in the middle. We did our testing in performance mode, and the new mid-range Raptor Lake refresh CPU actually did a pretty good job in our combined CPU performance rating, with a peak power draw of 140 watts before it levels out at 100 watts during longer loads. Our system performance test with PCMark also revealed no surprises, and even subjectively the Legion 5 is a very snappy system, and we did not encounter any hiccups whatsoever. The SSD is a pretty fast one, even though it throttled quite significantly during our torture tests, but again this should hardly matter during everyday use. The RTX 4060 in the Legion can run with up to 115 watts, and in our 3DMark rating it's actually amongst the fastest variants of Nvidia's mobile mid-ranger that can get close even to some RTX 4070s, making it the obvious choice if you want to get the best price to performance ratio of any mobile GPU right now. The differences in our 1080p gaming rating are even smaller, and in CPU-bound titles the Raptor Lake HX CPU will give you a significant advantage, which will become especially apparent if you are mostly playing faster shooters or competitive games in general. But even more graphically demanding games in the display's native resolution are not a problem as well, and if you do dip below the magical 60 FPS margin, you still have DLSS and frame generation at your disposal to bring things back into smooth territory. Unfortunately, as we all know, with great performance comes great fan noise, and there's really no way to sugarcoat this, the Legion is loud. To give you an example of what to expect, we recorded some noise samples for you during different scenarios, and if you want to get into more detail about the Legion's temperature and stress test behavior, please head on over to our written review on the website. Usually Lenovo's Legion laptops are infamous for their relatively short battery life compared to similarly equipped notebooks. This one, on the other hand, surprised us with its pretty impressive endurance away from the wall, especially given the power-hungry CPU. About 7.5 hours for such a powerful gaming machine definitely offers no reason to complain. Alright folks, it's already about time to wrap it up for today. Yes, the Legion 5i is loud, and while this is somewhat expected for the performance profile, even the balanced mode is pretty crazy, especially given the fact that temperatures are well controlled, and Lenovo would certainly have had some headroom to exchange a few degrees for quieter fans. But apart from that, the 16-incher comes without any glaring weaknesses, and a subtle and well-made chassis, great port selection if you can stomach the odd placement decisions, high quality display, and above all impressive performance numbers make this one a clear recommendation when you are looking for a gaming notebook that can do it all without breaking the bank. But please folks, let me know what you think about this one, sound off in the comments below. If you had fun, I would kindly ask you to leave your like and sub on your way out, and as always, for more information check out our written review on the website. Thanks a ton for watching, my name is Alex, you have been awesome, and I cannot wait to see you all in the next one. Take care.